Minecraft commands can often feel very confusing, especially for new people getting right into it. It might feel overwhelming with some tutorials that are fast-paced and are just in general confusing. I'm not gonna point out any fingers, but today I'm gonna be trying to solve that problem. We're gonna get you started with your command block journey. Now I know a lot of my viewers are quite used to using various commands, and so I'm gonna split this video into different chapters so you can then easily find the specific part that you want to learn about. Anyways, let's not waste any more time, let's get straight into it. Now the first thing you're actually going to do is to make sure to head over to your settings, go down here and turn on show coordinates. This is going to be extremely important, because now you can see you've got those coordinates up there. Now I guess we should start by addressing what is actually command blocks, and what is in general commands. Well, commands are essentially simple functions that you can use by pressing / in the chat. You can see there's actually a few here already that Minecraft has as the most practical and basic ones. On this / you can set this to be the world spawn, you can teleport, you can have a time. Those are a few things. If you just want to get the basic stuff, you can switch weather and stuff, but we're going to talk a little bit about the system. So if you click / you will see a bunch of these various different commands. Now I'm gonna explain every single one of them in the next video, but I've also already done a video where I really briefly explain it all, so yeah. Now the first thing we're gonna talk about is the give command. Now this is kind of important because we're gonna be working with command blocks. So the way the system works is essentially the / is of course for the actual function, then we have the @ which is like the target, and then of course all the blocks and stuff can't have spaces. So this would be a full command. You can type / give @p and then do something like, let's do a light block for the more interesting one. So you can see here we have a light block. Now if you don't know what this does, it essentially, well, it becomes brighter and brighter. Now not gonna be the simplest to show during day, but you can see it goes up and you can just right click, and as fast as you don't hold it anymore, it's not even like it's there. There's no collision box or anything. Throughout this series we're gonna talk a little bit more about certain of these operator blocks, but this already you can see opens up a lot of opportunities of blocks that are locked behind, well, the commands. The /give command essentially sets the basis for everything, because the thing we're gonna be doing mostly is this command right here, /give @p command block. Now this will give you a command block. Now we're gonna talk a little bit about these things in today's video, and starting off you'll see that it has these arrows. Now that's essentially, we'll get back to that shortly too, but what we're gonna talk about now is just the command block menu, because if you right click you will see this pretty big menu which could be confusing for some people. So up here you have the hover node, which is essentially just, you know, I can type Minecraft and you will see that it will hover whenever I hold on the command block. This is mainly used if you have a lot of commands and you don't really know where you've got the certain command blocks. I'll actually show you. Okay, so here is, yeah, that's ominous. Here is my horror map. It's one of the many maps you can download for free on mcpadl.com. But if we go down here, you can see I don't think I've actually got these labels because they weren't working. And you can just see, if I would have had those labels, it would just have been so much easier. You can just, yeah, it's a lot. So hopping back into our command block world, the next thing we're going to talk about is block type. Now, there's 3 main types. You're going to be using all of them, but I would say the chain is the least important, because the impulse and the repeat are both used pretty frequently. Now we're gonna start explaining what the impulse is. This one essentially executes a command whenever it gets a redstone signal. Probably one of the most used things in general. You can have something like the /summon and then do something like pig. If you do /summon pig, you will actually see you will summon a pig. That's pretty self-explanatory. So let's say we want this command to spawn a pig every time you press or you pull the lever. Well, that's when the command block input comes in. Now you can use this pretty normal little box, or you can expand it, which I typically like to do. So in here you're just gonna type the command, so /summon pig, and so now you will see that whenever I pull, it is going to summon a brand new pig. Now while we have all these pigs lying around or just walking around, I guess I could talk about the /kill command, which is, well, pretty self-explanatory. Now I'm actually gonna talk a little bit about these @ symbols, because you can see if we do /kill @ well, it says @A, @E, @P, @R, and @S. Now what do these different targets do? Well, @A essentially, as it says, is all players. You can actually read it right here, but @E essentially means all entities, which means if we type /kill @E, yeah, all of them die. So there's a few commands. The next thing we're going to talk about is actually not conditions. We're going to talk about redstone. So by default, the command has the needs redstone alternative, but if you switch that to always active, you will see that nothing actually will happen. Now this is because you've practically taken away the fact that it activates while having the redstone signal. If you want it to activate all the time, you're going to want the repeat. Now I'm just gonna quickly wanna switch this because it will be chaos. Yeah, I'm sure that's enough pigs for now. But this actually brings us over nicely to the delay in ticks. Now the delay in ticks is simply described, it's a timer, right? It's a timer for the command block. So if we set the delay to be 20 ticks for the summon pig, you will see that when we pull, it takes about a second before it actually spawns, and that's because we have that it spawns only every 1 second. So basically 20 ticks is 1 second. So if we were to set 40 ticks, that would be 2 seconds, 60 ticks, that's 3 seconds, and so on. And if we pair this with something like a repeat always active command block, or even one that needs redstone, you will see that while we hold the lever, it will spawn a new pig every 3 seconds. Now this is all pretty boring stuff. Like, of course it's cool when you're first getting into it, but it's not that epic if we're talking making games and so on. Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about conditions in a later video because it's not really relevant for the basic command block tutorial. But what we're gonna do is we are gonna be talking a little bit about the chain, because so far we've talked about the repeating one and then the impulse one. Now the chain is essentially, you can think it as a chained command. I know, crazy. And this is also where the arrows come into play. So you can see we've got this arrow, which means this command is facing this way, which means we want to keep going. We don't want to keep going here. We don't want to keep going here. We want to keep going here, because that's what's going to execute afterwards. So let's take it into a chain and then always active. This will mean essentially that after this command has run, this command will also run. Let's say we summon a pig, right? And we're just gonna put a 0 delay in ticks so it happens immediately. Now after this has happened, we'll put a 60 delay in ticks here on the chain command, with obviously always active turned on, just so I don't need to have the redstone active. And now we're gonna do /kill @E, which essentially means that a pig will summon and will die. I'm just gonna turn it to day real quick, which of course we already talked about it. You can access it through here, but that is also kind of just like a thing. It's just like a little automatic. You can just type in /time set day, so you can see /time set day, and there we go. It's daytime now. Anyways, what were we at? Oh yeah, right. We were at the basic command block over here. Now, I don't know if you guys know what pick block is, especially console players or mobile phone players. You might not know what pick block is. Essentially, a really awesome tool, which is when you hold down control. Yeah, so I don't really explain it in this video, but I'm gonna show you real quick how this works. So when you're in Minecraft, you can actually head over to the settings and then over to the controller, or in my case keyboard and mouse, but controller is what I'm gonna show. You can scroll down and let's see if I can find it right here. You can see pick block, and you can assign a key where you will, well, pick block. So pick block is essentially that whenever you click the assigned button, you will actually get the exact block that you're looking at. Obviously in survival it takes it from your inventory. You can't just magically get a netherite block. That's not how it works. But yeah, you can grab whatever block you want. Let's say I want a chain command block or an impulse command block. And then on PC, if you hold down control, you can actually select a more exact one, which has this little data tag on it. And now the only difference between these blocks is for that the data one actually has it remembers all of the things we put in earlier. So it's chain always active, 60 delaying ticks, and has this /kill at E, which is just really useful instead of having to rewrite it all. So yeah, that's a quick description of what I'm talking about when I mention pick block. Now we're just gonna put a 5 delay tick just so it happens pretty quickly, and then we're gonna do once again /kill at E. So once again, pig spawns, dies, and you can see he doesn't drop anything because it already took away all of the pork chops. And if you couldn't tell already, these chains are run in the same order. So if you have a 60 delaying ticks here, this one right here is not gonna run 5 ticks after this original command. It is going to run 5 ticks after this one has executed. Also, if you spell something wrong, which is pretty bound to happen when you're a beginner, you can always check here at the previous output to see if there's any error in it. Let's say I did something like I misclicked and did @D, for example, you know. Well, you will pretty quickly realize that, well, the pig doesn't die, and so, well, obviously this one executes still, but this one is not gonna execute, and you will see here that something's wrong, and you can just look where it says the issue. Now the final thing I want to do before we get into the teleporting of things, I really want to show you just a couple of useful commands and also how to use the coordinates. Now, if you couldn't tell, there are numbers up there in the corner. These are essentially what block you're on. Every block has its own unique number, and you can see at the moment that we are standing on 0, -60, 0, with the Y level or height being, well, in the middle. And so using this, we can use stuff like TP, we can use stuff like fill. I'm just gonna show you the teleporting command real quick, and then we'll get right into it. So the TP command, once again, you can probably figure it out by now, by your basics. You can see who you want to actually teleport, so TP at P, and then you can TP to either a certain player, or you can type something like 1, or actually 0, -60, 0, which is what we were just on. And you can see if we click enter now, we are going to be teleported to, well, 0, -60, 0. So that's how the TP command works. We still have the fill command. Well, the fill command is not necessary for this video, but it's just a very practical command to know. So okay, so essentially the way that fill works, I have a full video on it, but I'm gonna show you quickly in this video. Essentially, the area you want to fill is going to be almost like a box. Now, it's mainly the 2 corners of the box that matter. You can see these 2 blocks are essentially the corners of something like this little box here. And so you can see if we have like these little edges, you probably get the point. It's the space diagonal. It's, well, one corner to another corner. Also, we're gonna real quick turn it to daytime, and you can see how easy these things can be. I mean, it helps out a ton. I've used that command already 3 times in this video, so that's the fill command. And based on those logics, you can think that you hop down here, and the block that's at your feet, you can see your coordinates over there, -13, 9. I typically say like that, -13, 9, and then I remember that the middle coordinate is -63. So you can type that into chat or just write it in Notepad or something if you're on a computer. And then you're gonna go over to whatever other corner you want. So if I want the hole, I obviously don't want to go down here. I'll show you what happens. The reason why we're not writing down these coordinates is because you can actually go back type /fill. You can use the arrow keys or the D-pad on the PlayStation and so on to go up and down in the chat, which means you can actually go to a previous message, go /fill before that, and then you will see that you can either, well, you can type in whatever number you want. You can type in 14 and so on, but you can see this little squiggly line. Now on PC this is super simple. You just click tab and it will automatically add it. The one that's at the top, if you click it twice, you will see that the one that's underneath will be typed in. But if we click tab, space tab, space tab, you will see that we have these little 3 squiggly lines. Now these are essentially your own coordinates. There's also these things, which is essentially what block you're looking at. We're not going to talk a lot about that. We're just going to do the 3 squiggly lines and then fill with something like air, which means you will see, well, we have this little thingy. By the way, /game mode, and you can switch game mode to spectator, survival, or anything. So you can see we have this little room, but you can also understand that we don't want that if we are looking to get something like a hole. So I'm gonna go back into chat, make sure I'm this time higher up, and then activate it once again, and you will see that boom, we have a hole. And if I now want to fill it with something else, let's see, we switch out the air for diamond blocks, pretty standard. You can see boom, we have diamond blocks. Now, I'm not gonna do that because that looks quite frankly quite ugly. There we go, grass, and now it's back where it was. So that's a little bit about the fill command. Once again, I have a full video on it. I'm not gonna make any more, I'm not gonna use any more of your valuable time for this video in particular on it, but I already showed you the TP command, so let's make a teleporter. Now to make this teleporter, you're gonna be essentially choosing what location it's gonna be. Now for me this is gonna be pretty simple. I'm gonna have a white pressure plate and a black pressure plate, and we're just gonna, you know, let's say this is one of the places and we want to teleport to here. Now we're just gonna mark that with something like, well, gold. That should work quite well. We're gonna mark that one with gold, and then we'll mark this other one with diamond. Now after this, you're just gonna get the coordinates of where you want to land. Now make sure, unless you have a tick delay on it, do not make you spawn on a pressure plate, because then you'll just teleport back and forth between the 2 locations infinitely. Instead, what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this is where you spawn and this is where the teleporter is. Now underneath this, we're gonna break down 2 blocks. You can obviously have it right underneath as well, but it looks a little better if it's hidden underneath a solid block. And in here, you're gonna type /TP at P, and then you're gonna go over to your other coordinates, which is obviously the diamond block. And then we're gonna remember -10, 20. I'm once again gonna make it to daytime. But yeah, you can see we are at -10, 20. So I'm just gonna remember those in my head. -10, 20, and then it was -60 in the middle. And so after this, you're just gonna put the block on top, place something like the white pressure plate, and now you will see that when we step on it, you will teleport to the diamond block, which is pretty cool. Now over here at the diamond block, we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna place a command block right there. It doesn't matter what way it's facing with the redstone. You can have it like that if you want to. And then we're going to find the coordinates of the gold block, in this case 530. And then before that, do /TP at P to those coordinates. Once again, I'm going to have it as an impulse needs redstone. And then we're going to place a block on top, place a pressure plate. And so now you will see that we have this pretty neat little place where you can teleport from place to place. So now we're at the diamond block, we're at the gold block, and this works how far you ever want. You can travel across the map, and it will not restrict you no matter what render distance you have. Congratulations, you've completed the first step along the way of becoming a command block master. Everyone's got to start somewhere, and this video kind of breaks down everything practical for you to mess around with. If you guys have any questions, I'm gonna try to answer them in the comments. But now hold on, wait, before you go, I wanna tell you about today's sponsor. It will help out a ton, okay? And today's sponsor is, yeah, it's me, but listen up. While it can be great with videos like these teaching you about command blocks, everyone will run into individual issues, and so I've decided to once again start on my Patreon. It's not every day that I restart my Patreon, but I want to tell you a little bit about the EchoEld Patreon. This is essentially where you can, well, not only support me financially, but also get various different tiers of personal support in case you want to, you know, for example, me to literally help you with your personal project on Discord via voice call. We'll fix the whole project for you. You're essentially hiring me. Apart from this, you'll also get access to all the command block games that I make, which I know a lot of you guys enjoy watching too. So if you see a game you like Five Nights at Freddy's 2, you can check it out on my Patreon. It's literally out right now. So if you feel like you want to step into the world of commanding a little bit deeper than just these videos, consider checking out the Patreon at least. Read a little bit about the benefits, see what would fit you. It helps out a lot. Also, I spent like 3 hours on the layout of that. And hey, to support me further, you can still subscribe, you know? I'm gonna make a lot of videos just like these, where it's a lot more in-depth than my typical videos. So, yeah, if you guys want to get into command block, consider subscribing. And now I've been yapping on for about like probably 5 minutes, so I'm gonna let you go now. I'll see you guys in the next one.